Hi.
Hi.
So today's podcast is Chef Tony from Ohio Ranch Steakhouse. And it's called Authenticity Never Goes Out of Style, Texas Hospitality in a New Era. Chef Tony, I want to welcome you.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
I'm so happy that you are here. You run one of the most distinctive steakhouses in Texas. And I really enjoyed our first conversation.
So did I. Thank you.
Yeah, it was so insightful and I enjoyed talking to you just chef to chef. You've built something with your soul. And as another chef, I recognize that when I see it and I appreciate that.
Well,
And
thank you. Thank
yeah,
you.
yeah. And this is why I do this is to hear these wonderful stories and to share these stories.
Glad to be here.
So before we get into the food, I want to start with the roots because your story isn't borrowed Texas theme. It's lived a ranch dating back to 1880.
That's correct. Yes. Mhm.
Wow. Artifacts from the land, antlers from the ranch on the chandeliers.
Right.
It's a kind
Yeah.
of authenticity you can't fabricate.
Right. That's one of the things I'm the proudest about the steakhouse. And yeah, so our namesake is the YO Ranch, which is in Kerrville, and which I don't know if you heard, they recently had a horrible flood there.
Oh,
Uh, oh wow, yeah, that's you'll have to look that up some when you get a chance. It was horrible. Right, just miles from the ranch in July 4th, there was a horrible flood,
oh my
and
God.
a bunch of kids got swept away, like almost 100 of them. Most surprised you didn't hear that. It was global news, but anyway, but back to the ranch. Yeah, so it's a big part of the Texas history. In fact, so much that there's a couple of books that they wrote about it. And so yeah, we are very close to. We take our namesake, we take it, hold it close to our hearts. And I've been there, gosh, hundreds of times. It's a really nice place. The Texas Hill Country is quite pretty, also.
So tell me about the ranch, what it represents to you, and how that history shows up in your dining room.
Well, the ranch. I'll start off by saying that it's owned by my partner and his family. My partner's father in 1880 bought it from a guy. His name was Young's Olston Coleman. So the YO and the YO brand come from his name, and so they call him Captain Schreiner. When he came over from Alsace-Lorraine in early 1880, and he bought the use of the brand, and then he started the ranch, which at that time was a couple of 100,000 acres, and it's not that big now, but it's still like over 40,000 acres. It's still quite large. So it's a lot of Texas history and tradition there, and what it means to me. I mean, I started going there when 28, 29 years ago now, and every time I go down there, I stop along the way and look at little restaurants and Texas Hill Country cuisine. This kind of Texas Hill Country cuisine is kind of something that I don't know if you could say I made it up or whatever, but there's a lot of German influence in the Texas Hill Country and French and Texan and country. It's got a lot of roots, different type of cultures and stuff. And it's a really nice drive down there. It takes about almost 6 hours to get there. So once or twice a year, well, there's one event that I always would go to cook for these high profile clients of theirs, and I would look forward to that every year. So I don't know. I think it's just cool to be able to associate something with the steakhouse, kind of co-op or combine or connect or or be part of, of who we are, our ethos, everything about us. It's nice to have that to in addition, instead of just, opening a restaurant and making a buck. So I've always been proud of that fact to have Texas roots, in the restaurant.
And there really is so much of the Texas roots that people don't know about. You mentioned the German influence. I once did a road trip from California to New York, and it was long. I was on the road for about 2.5 weeks, but I picked certain places to stop and stay. And I stayed in Fredericksburg for 3 days,
Yeah,
and
that's
I
very
was just,
close.
yeah, that's what I figured. And I was really blown away. It was surprising. It was a pleasant
Oh,
surprise.
3 days in Fredericksburg, and you can see the whole town in about an hour. Yeah, it's an interesting little town. So that's the heart of the Texas Hill Country, and that's a German town, and they
Yeah,
have German breweries and lots of German restaurants, schnitzel everywhere you go, and
everywhere.
yeah, it's a 45-minute drive from there to the ranch. The ranch is
Okay.
not actually in Kerrville. Kerrville is just the closest big city to it. But yeah, it
Okay.
takes less than an hour to drive there
Uh,
from from Fredericksburg.
yeah, it was a very interesting town. I quite enjoyed it. Um, I want to talk a little about your culinary journey now. You didn't just inherit this theme. You earned your stripes. You grew up around restaurants, worked under your uncle who built Black Eyed Pea into a major chain. You cooked French food, opened restaurants abroad. This isn't a straight line background. It's a real operator mileage. How did those early experiences, those stories, from cooking soul to French technique, shape the way you cook and you lead today?
Mhm. Well, when you first reached out to me, I was thinking to myself, why does she want to talk to me? You know, or and then I started when I started, thinking about today and what we were going to talk about, I started to get excited about my heritage and my journey and what it's meant to me and hopefully to other people. And so I am kind of excited to tell a little bit about, a little of the story. So my uncle, Gene Street, mentor uncle, kind of like a dad also. He's a famous Texas restaurateur. He's owned over 170 restaurants including some big chains. One of them was called the Black Eyed Pea, which was a home cooking restaurant concept where he went to Brownwood, Texas, where I was born in the middle of the night and woke up my grandparents, asked them to borrow $10,000 and took a piece of cube steak and asked my grandfather to teach him how to make chicken fried steak. And that's a true story. There's been a lot of wise tales over the years, but that story holds true. That's how he got his start. So the Black Eyed Pea was famous for home cooking, nothing ever frozen, nothing ever canned, pot roast, meatloaf, chicken fried steak, fried chicken, pork chops, and every vegetable you can think of. My grandparents had a huge garden in the backyard, which is something that I still have dreams about. My childhood. When I dream about my childhood, I can still remember the rows of where all the vegetables, like the corn was first, and then the okra, and then the green beans, so on and so on. And I used to hate to pick those green beans so bad, but to love to eat them, and then watch my grandmother can them, and so that's how that concept. So he was kind of a pioneer of farm to table, I guess, if you would. I've never really thought of that, but it's kind of it's. I mean, it's everything. All the recipes, everything was just as completely fresh and made from scratch as possible. And so that concept called the Black Eyed Pea, I started working there when I was 12, literally 12. And I was so little, I used to step on my apron and I would have to pull down the tickets with a pair of tongs because, they started me off as washing dishes, which is that's the natural process of things. And I wouldn't have it any other way it doesn't really translate to today's world. People, when I told my son who just graduated from the University of Oregon with a business degree, 20 years old, that he's going to have to wash dishes first, he was like, huh? What? And I get it. But I used to slop the hogs with my grandfather in Brownwood, Texas. And so learned the value of the meaning of hard work and the value of a dollar from a very young age. But so anyway, back to the Black Eyed Pea. They started me at washing dishes, and I just didn't want any part of that after a while, and just forced myself in the kitchen on the line, literally so little that I would have to pull the tickets down with their tongs, and and I loved it. It was, I mean, it was everything to me. Because I mean, part of it because gave me a sense of pride and a sense of worth, and I was actually doing the job of, the other guys on the line were literally 20 years older than me, and they were letting me do it because I was actually doing it. And my uncle, he lived in Dallas, which this was in Fort Worth, by the way. So he was completely not hands-on or operational. So it's not like that they were doing it, letting me do it because my who my uncle was. But anyway, so that is the huge part of my story, who I am, where I'm from, my heritage. In fact, I want to open a restaurant called My Heritage Cafe or something like that, and take all those items that made my uncle famous, but chef them up and make them relevant in today's world, like the pot roast maybe, um, and meatloaf and catfish, pork chop. It'd be so much fun to do that. So a big part of who I am. And then I moved on to Italian restaurants right down the road when I was 14, and when I was 16, had a key to the restaurant, and just kept going from there. Um, After that, there was I went to a French restaurant after that, which was right down the street. At the time, it was the only five-star restaurant in Fort Worth. It was called Michelle's. Michelle Bottomland's famous chef. Um, and worked there for a bit. And then this is where my story kind of makes a major change is the French chef from the other French restaurant, because there was only two in Fort Worth, came over to borrow something. I can't remember what it was, and saw me in the kitchen and poached me away from Michelle's and took me to a restaurant called Saint Emilion, which is still there 40 years later, 38 years later. And Jean-Claude, the chef, he showed me the ropes, and again, my passion just catapulted into just obsession and excitement, and it just became my life. So much so that, embarrassingly enough, I quit high school when I was 16 so that I could work. And I was working 40 hours a week at that Italian restaurant I was telling you about. I was working over 40 hours a week before I was 16 years old. And that's all I did. That's all I knew. That's all I wanted, was to cook and to be in the restaurant business, and to fit in with the restaurant business can be a lot of fun, which probably we'll get into maybe later. But I wasn't immune to that. The having fun part of the restaurant business. The restaurant business in the 80s in Texas was quite different than it is now. I'm telling you, there's some horror stories that I could tell you, the stuff that went on that were just so unacceptable that people would have gone to prison had they had it happen in today's age. But so back to Jean-Claude, did not like him as a person, but I loved him, and he taught me. My grandfather Snooky, my uncle Gene, and Jean Claude are the three people who taught me the most. Jean Claude was a genuine French chef, and he was meaner than hell, and he made my life miserable. But I learned everything from him. He went back to Brussels. He was actually from Belgium, but French was his background. But anyway, so he had to go back for emergency reasons, and And so that left just me and two other people in the kitchen. That made me the head chef of Santa Milion for 8 months. I was the interim. I mean, they planned on hiring somebody, I would imagine, because I mean, I'm 18 years old. How can I be the chef at a French restaurant, the best restaurant in Fort Worth? Still there today. Bernard Tranche, like I said, he was the owner, and Bernard. Um, I'm so grateful that he gave me the opportunity, and he kept putting off hiring somebody else to replace me, or maybe he just didn't have any luck and I didn't know it. But I remember he would come to me about weekly and say, "Hey, you're holding down the fort. You're doing a great job. Keep it up," and just give me the opportunity to stay in that position. But then that all came to abrupt halt when my uncle Gene pulled up in his tinted in his black stretch Cadillac with the tinted windows, pulled up and rolled down the window and said, "How would you like to become the king of Acapulco?" I'm like, "Huh? Yeah, well, yeah." Embarrassingly enough, I got in the car and 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 left uh and left Santa Milion, which I regret for not giving notice. Talked to Bernard many times since then, and he knows how much he means to me and what he did to my career. But Gene was genuine by asking me that, and he did. He sent me to Acapulco to open his restaurant there, which is now the Hard Rock Cafe.
Wow.
You know,
I mean, this is I will say I love the humility in the way you speak about your journey. You have an incredible story. You have an incredible story, starting that young. I do think, I do believe that most great chefs drop out of high school at 16. I think we all started there. But it really shows that grit, that love, that passion, because it is a labor of love. And it is passion that brings you to where you are, and you are a prime example of that. Your story is absolutely incredible. So I completely get it.
thank
Um, you're very true to your craft.
Thank you. The next part of the journey was a little, got off track a little bit because
Hmm.
when I went to Acapulco, I got there more than a year before the restaurant opened, and I'm 18. I'm in a foreign country where I don't know one single person, have absolutely no supervision, and living in a house that was built for the son of the Shah of Iran. And Ryan O'Neill and Farrah Fawcett lived below, and yeah, I know, just lifestyle of the rich and famous. There's four people that lived in the house, three of them were servants and me. And so things got a little out of control with the the anticipation of the by the time that the restaurant opened, I wasn't my best. I wasn't my
Hmm.
best, being unsupervised for a year
Hmm.
in Acapulco, and but did what I could.
What a story. What a wonderful story.
Mhm.
I want to talk a little bit about standing out in Dallas. Dallas is one of the most competitive steakhouse markets in the country. Really. Every chef knows that. Yet you have carved a space nobody else occupies. Your menu, it's wild game, it's ranch legacy. And this Texas meets French approach. What made you commit to that lane rather than play the same notes, that every other top end steakhouse is doing right now?
So Dallas is, like you mentioned, is full of incredible restaurants and steakhouses as well. I mean, I can't imagine another rest city that has better steakhouses and amount of them too. I mean, and there's still, you know what? They're still popping up everywhere. I'm like, what are people thinking? Why are they doing this right now? But that's another story. But to be honest with you, as wonderful of the steakhouses they are, they
Mhm.
bore me. And I know that might sound smarty like, but they have the same items. I mean, quality beef. Don't get me wrong, their steaks are absolutely fabulous. I mean, I could name 20 steakhouses right now that we buy the same beef from the same places of the country and the world, and so the quality of the beef is the same, but the rest of it is they're the same. It's shellfish towers and seafood towers and carpaccio and calamari, and it's all just kind of blends in. Um, so in carpaccio, but like I mean, we've had carpaccio before, but it was antelope carpaccio. And our we don't have a whole lot of cold appetizers. It's mostly wild game dishes, venison roll-ups and quail, chicken fried quail, and alligator sausage and different, just different type of foods. It's not your run-of-the-mill menu. So one of the reasons that I chose to continue to try to be famous for or offer such a wild selection of wild game is it's a good alternative for red meats.
Mhm.
It's very high in protein and low in cholesterol. It's much healthier. It's much
Mhm.
healthier than red meat,
Mhm.
and it's very, 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 very tasty, as well. But I don't know, just something different from your run-of-the-mill steakhouses.
Well, that's wonderful. You've made a steakhouse with quail instead of shellfish towers. You've done on your menu with chicken fried lobster, which is broiled. You've taken the familiar and you've made it personal, and there's something to be said about that. That is true craft. That is true craft.
To give you an idea,
So,
every time I go somewhere, I like to, for example, I was in Montreal three
yeah,
weeks ago or 1 month ago now.
yeah.
Beautiful place, by the way. Very, very beautiful place. And I have a habit of doing this, and sometimes it'll stick and it'll turn into magic, and sometimes it'll be a total bust. But I find something indigenous to the area that's popular in the area, and you can probably like what when you think of Canadian food, is there one item that they eat a lot that sticks out to you?
Is there one item? It's
Yeah.
poutine.
Right. Yeah. So guess what I'm doing right now?
You're doing
So
poutine.
yes, well, hand cut fries is something that I can't imagine serving frozen French fries. It just makes
Absolutely
me
not.
nauseous to even think about it.
No, that's
Um,
criminal.
Yeah, it is. Why do that? I don't understand. But anyway, so I'm doing it with duck confit carnitas on top of the poutine.
That sounds
Uh,
absolutely heavenly.
yeah, I have a list of like 5 people who I get to taste stuff that I let taste because most of the staff, they wouldn't be honest with me. I pick the ones who have a reasonable palate, who have a responsible palate. My son, who's 20, is one of them because he's eaten all over the world. I mean, he knows good food. And my brother also works here. He's a big part of our success here. His name's Michael Street. I couldn't run the place without him.
Mhm.
He's the glue to the restaurant and means everything to me and the success of the restaurant. So I let him taste it, and I was surprised to know that you can always tell when somebody likes them because the way they go back, they put the fork down, and then you can look at their eyes, you can look at their face and tell, and then they go back and they do it again, and then they go, and then they go back again. So you can tell if they like it. All of them liked it a lot, and it was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was. Sometimes I've made the mistake of kind of forcing things in there when I get back from a trip or something, and it doesn't last. But another example of that has made its way into a permanent location on the menu is chicken fried lobster, which sounds crazy, but so 2 years ago, I went to watch the Leafs change in New England, and we flew to Vermont, and then went across New Hampshire, Maine, and all the way down. And it's like every place we went, there was lobster rolls. Every place.
Hmm.
And gas stations, I mean, convenience stores, everywhere there were lobster rolls. And a bad lobster roll is still pretty delicious.
Yeah.
But so I came when I was there uh, reading a book. Something popped in my mind. Hey, chicken fried lobster, and I came back and I put it on the menu, and it's been a huge success ever since. We've had chicken fried lobster, but this chicken fried lobster roll.
It's
So
incredible.
yeah, I have a habit of doing that. Going to go on vacation, coming back with something. They're always coming back like, oh God, what's he gonna do now?
That's incredible. That you've just described a chef's mind and a chef's creative process. It's like you travel, you see something, what inspires you. I'm excited to see what you bring back from your trip in January.
Yeah. Who
Yeah,
knows?
who knows?
Mhm.
Uh, I want to talk a little bit about service value and your guest care. You said something that stuck out with me in our first chat. It really struck me because I see that change as well. Service has become more important than ever. Sometimes it even outranks the perception of food. And chefs don't say that lightly. I know that well. There was a time where we would be like, as long as the food is good, you can get away with murder. That is flipped on its head. So where does that philosophy come from for you? That it's completely changed.
Been trending that way for a while, actually. That perception or that saying has been circulating for quite a while now. Excuse me, that the opposite, that the you can have you can have a bad experience once, in a restaurant where the food's not up to par, but the service can turn it around. Then I agree to that wholeheartedly. But I mean, I don't think that it would survive more than, like two visits in a row or something, and the food's not good, then you'll lose them. But if you get a hold of a server, manager, chef, whoever who truly is concerned, and you can tell by the way they act that just wasn't that great, and if they can turn it around pretty easily. Some people are really talented at it, and then when I hire managers, that's the one of the things that I'm looking for the most is somebody who can turn around a customer complaint, and I feel like I'm really good at that, taking a complaint and turning it around and making the best of it.
That true front of house talent.
Mhm.
Another thing that
Some people are just born with it.
they really do.
I've had several people who've been here forever. I have 6 or 7 people who've been over here for over 20 years. I have 6 people who've been here for 29 years. But the front of the house people who have been here for so long, I mean, it just runs through. It's just in their blood. They just were born for hospitality, and it's such a breath of fresh air when you can tell somebody is really genuine about it. Than like a young server at Chili's or something like that who's trying to pull wool over you. You can tell. It's obvious.
And it speaks to your treatment of your staff and how you run your facility as well.
Mhm.
For that level of loyalty to be there. Um,
Thanks.
which is what this industry is. It's family. I tell people you spend more time with the people you work with than you do your real family. Uh, Talking about reviews, we touched upon reviews when we were speaking earlier. The way you handle reviews, I really respect that. It's not easy for a chef to read a review. Your system it's not defensive, it's not dismissive. You reach out, you listen, and you turn someone who's upset into a regular. That's hospitality at its highest level. That's not something you can automate or delegate. When you read these reviews, what are you listening for? And what signals matter to you most?
Well, let me start off by saying that we're a few reviews short, like I don't know, 10, 15 reviews short of 8,000 reviews, and all 8,000 of them are answered. And all of them that are 3 stars or less. Well, not necessarily we go by the feel of the review, but if it's we answer every review. If it's a something that we could have done better, we answer. We have a system to where the general manager and her staff answer them. But if it's anything that's they just flat out didn't like it, or they didn't have a good time, or we messed up something, or something embarrassing, or whatever, then I call them personally. They have to leave a post-it note on my desk with the person's name and number and tell me to go look at the review. And
Hmm.
if the managers don't do that and I find out, then they would get in trouble. But they never do, because they actually enjoy it. It puts it off their plate and it puts it on me.
Yeah.
And so the way I normally handle it is I just kind of ring it out, see how much of it is them just wanting to be heard.
Hmm.
A lot of times, if it's 1 star review, it's just they just simply want to be heard. And if that's the case, that's fine. They've paid $100 a person, PPA to they paid a lot of money to eat here, and if that's what was gonna make them feel better, that's fine.
Hmm.
But almost always there's something that we could have done better. Almost always. And I think I might be the only. This sounds absolutely crazy saying this. I almost enjoy a bad review because I know it's ridiculous, right?
You're
And
glutton for punishment.
it's not entirely true either, but because a bad review will keep me up at night. I mean, literally, sometimes when I know that we messed up and something, if we messed up really bad, like if we cooked a steak twice, or whatever, certain things trigger me to like obsessing over it. But anyway, back to just finding out where how much of it we could have done better, and try to determine what that was, and then call them and correct it.
Hmm.
Most of the time, if it's something that we messed up, like double cooking a steak or whatever, I mean, well, I'll refund their money sometimes, because I don't want. You know what? It's things are tough right now, and people don't want to come spend $100 a person if it's not great. So we have a responsibility. It's not just a it's not a money grab. It's a responsibility that we have to give them high quality stuff. But anyway, a lot of times I'll refund their money if I think that they deserve that. Or if not, I'll just let them talk and talk and talk until they're done talking, until they don't want to talk anymore. And I've gotten all out of them, and then I invite them back in. Every single time I will invite them in to let us redo it to a repeat, and we'll take care of their dinner. And when that happens and they do come back, which is less than 50% of the time, I would say probably closer to 20% of the times that they'll come back, or even probably less than that. But when they do come in, they're blown away, because then at that point you have me, the chef, cooking their food, and you have the best servers that have been here for decades. From we roll out the red carpet from start to finish and make them feel special, and that sticks with them. They don't forget that. They were heard, which is what they want. They were victorious, and leaving that review. And a lot of times they'll do stuff like, to have the wedding rehearsal dinners here, or Christmas dinners or whatever. It always ends up well. We've never had a repeat, not once in all these years that has gone poorly ever.
Hmm. It's that's really powerful. First of all, the fact that you've answered all these reviews, 8,000 is it? And you're not reading comments. You're actually reading their emotions, and this is exactly why your guests trust you and they keep coming back. It takes a lot to read reviews and to answer them. It's not an easy feat. A little bit about your operations, because anybody who runs a kitchen knows it's steel and sweat behind all this romance. In your case, you're sourcing wild game, you're training, you're managing managers, you're holding standards without price gouging, especially post-COVID. When the market has shifted and may, when the market has shifted and, so opportunistic, what parts of the operations have you built that give you pride?
Being kind to everybody, guests and employees, trying to create a comfortable workspace for people. Um, yeah, I guess that just trying to be kind to everybody, to
Hmm.
everyone. You
Hmm.
know, people don't like coming to work,
No, they
uh,
don't.
and this is going to show to the guests, and then the guests aren't going to want to come back. And I love my staff. I love my managers, and it's kind of infectious. So, it's kind of ways of thinking and passion and passion can be infectious, and because the reviews they see the way that I handle the reviews and how important it is to me, then it kind of trickles down to everybody. So I don't know. I guess what I'm proudest, some of the things that I'm proudest of is I never stopped in the 29 years. I've never once stopped trying to get better. And let me tell you, we have over the years. When we opened the restaurant, I mean, it was good. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it was, but it's nothing like it is now. There's not a year to go. Every January, we reflect and see what how can we improve this year, whether it's something like, I don't know, get valet or buy a better product, whatever it might be.
Hmm.
We never settle for, hey, well, we're doing great. Let's just keep it going ever. We've never done that. And that also shows the whole staff can see that as well. So just keeping things fresh and keep the passion there. You know, if
Hmm.
when I don't have it anymore, I'll give it to my son, let him do it. And it'll probably be a while. But,
Yeah.
I'll definitely retire in Thailand. My wife's from Thailand, and we go there a lot. We spend a lot of time there. We have a house there.
Hmm.
And so when that time comes where I'm no longer feel when the passion starts to slip. My son, like I said, he just graduated with a business degree from University of Oregon in July. So he's just now graduated. I put his office right next door. Next to me, 5 feet, 10 feet from me. So that's what it's
So,
worth.
yeah, I don't think the passion ever runs out for chefs, but good luck with that. So you tell me what gives you pride, and it's that, as you said, passion is infectious, and it absolutely is. On the flip side, where do you still feel tension? And this could be in your operations or your systems, in the kitchen, in the front of house. Where do you
Staffing,
still feel that day-to-day tension?
yeah. Staffing. I get nervous when I'm seeing and this is just me. There's nothing that can be done about it, but I get frustrated and nervous when Dallas restaurant scene is crazy. I don't know. I can't compare it to other cities because I'm not in those cities. I mean, I travel a lot, but I don't know. I don't keep up with the dining scenes out. I'm not real trendy, to be honest with you, as a chef. I don't worry about the A5 Wagyu, this, that, or the other. Um, so I kind of fly under the radar, kind of always have, and I kind of enjoy it being that way. Um, but some tensions, some things that get me anxious, or restaurants just popping up everywhere. I mean,
Mhm.
everywhere. I look at them, I drive by them, and say, okay, what were they thinking? Why do they think that's going to be a good idea? Why did they think, I mean, it's just overkill.
Mhm.
It's been that way since COVID too. I think that after COVID, when people started to be hopeful that they were not going to die, they
Mm.
wanted to thrive and not survive, and just started throwing caution to the wind and spending, and opening up places.
Mhm.
Um, but I don't know. I guess you could boil that down to competition.
Mhm.
Competition nerves me because I feel a lot of time it's not heartfelt what they're doing. I don't
Mhm.
know. I don't know if I have a right to say that or not.
You
And
absolutely do.
the other thing that's really got me on edge a little bit now is the what's going on in our country. I'm not sure that you're wanting any answers like this, but I'm not at all happy with the way things are right now and our leadership in this country at all.
Mhm.
It's it's not the country that I know, but
Mhm.
anyway, and it's like things are being made more difficult, almost intentionally. They don't have to be this way. I mean, inflation, wasn't it bad enough already? Why did we have to add fuel, and why did we have to make it worse? And these are not subjective things I'm talking about. These are facts.
Mhm.
Of course, almost half the people don't want to deal with facts, but these
Mhm.
are facts. I mean, we didn't have to deal with this. I mean, we're
Mhm.
brought a lot of this was brought not on ourselves, not by me because I didn't vote that way, but anyway, I hope that we're not going in a direction that you did want to go down, but it's just and then the staffing situation
Mhm.
is challenging.
Mhm.
It's sad. I will say this: when COVID hit, the unemployment, the not the unemployment, the minimum wage kind of organically fixed itself, and I was very happy about that. For example, dishwashers won't work for less than $16 an hour. That's a wage that's still not, going to feed, a family, but it's much better than it ever has been. So I'm happy that the minimum wage kind of organically worked itself out. But uh, things are uh, things are sad with the workforce and right now, and I'm bothered by that. You know.
Chef, I think many people can echo the same sentiment. You're 100% right, and uh, I'm actually I'm actually glad that you went in this direction because it is something that we're all speaking about, and a lot of people are unhappy with the current state of affairs. Because it's also infecting small businesses like yours. You're not corporate America. Uh, and in corporate America, they have the funds and all of that to manage, but it's the small businesses that have put their heart and their soul in. I mean, you've been in a kitchen since the time the apron, was coming under your shoes. You've put your life into this. So it's a valid thing to talk about at this time. Um, Given this, since we've touched upon this and the inflation and everything, how has this affected you as a small business owner?
I've been kind of lucky in the sense that the people who work for me, they're not going anywhere.
Mm.
They're well compensated. I treat them like family. They've been working here forever. I have people in the kitchen that were teenagers when they worked here, and now their kids work here.
Mhm.
Um, so I'm pretty good in that regard. But that that could change. We don't when we hire people, we ask them for to see their documents, and it's not a and we just assume that their documents are real, and hopefully they are. I'm honestly not sure what would happen if we got an I-9 audit. I don't know.
Mhm.
But so there's always that looming. I mean, if and there's also the chance that so we did have one employee who was driving to work and he was speeding, He was going 80 in a 65, and he was undocumented, and he is now back in Mexico. His wife and three kids are still here, and he never had has never had a drink in his life ever, or had he'd never had that was his first time he'd ever been pulled over for speeding. He'd never had any type of a violation. I mean, at all. Uh, so again, never have knowingly broke the law. I don't know what would happen if we were audited. Not gonna ask, but we'll see. So that's looming. That's kind of a looming thing, and I don't like the way that they're being. It's like Gestapo. It's like they're being the way that they're being treated. It's hard to see, people who meant so much to me and my business, and the way that their people are being treated. I'm not saying that I don't believe in checks and balances and laws and stuff
Mhm.
like that. I'm not saying that. But you asked me in kind of in a roundabout way what's making me anxious. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Competition, too much competition right now, and the where we're at right now as a nation, what's going on.
Mhm.
A lot of unnecessary stress was put on us,
Mhm.
you know,
100%.
out of hatred.
100%. 100%. And it goes back to the people that work for us or our family. They work hard for us, they put in their heart and soul, and at the end of the day, if they were moved for and just like you, I agree, we're all for checks and balances, but there's a limit to it. Um, okay, let's talk about what's new with you. You're rolling out a new menu, buffalo rosini, I believe. Uh, value, balance, honoring your French technique, your Texas heritage. Yeah, after nearly 30 years of running, YO, you're still evolving. That's rare in this business. What's lining you up right now? What are you excited to build next?
I'm excited that I have an opportunity to provide a value to people where my competitors aren't. It seems like after COVID, and I hate to keep referencing COVID, but it was a big part of it. It was a big part of our
Mm-hmm.
industry over the last 10 years. Can't help it sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But after the COVID, when things started to get, a little better, it seems like my competitors are charging whatever they think they can get away with,
Mm-hmm.
and not what they need to be successful. And they certainly don't go by any metrics
Mm-hmm.
that as far as percentage of net income and so forth,
Mm-hmm.
that in my opinion they should, because they're just gouging, they're just sticking it to people, and you know what, people have been paying it for the last few years. Yeah, Texas Restaurant Association had an article come out recently saying, heavily implying that they think that that's gonna that's gonna calm down real quick. But
Mm-hmm.
so I think that they've been enjoying people's spending habits, just throwing caution to the wind, spending money like crazy, and just seeing how much money they can get away with charging.
Mm-hmm.
Like we buy the same meat from as most competitors. I mean, and some of the times we're 20 and 30% lower in price. I work off a percentage of net income, and then after that, I pass that on to the customers and to the staff, and and I really feel that that's being noticed. Um, I think we do get a lot of people who are coming in recognizing that we are considerably more reasonable than the competitors. In a way, I'd have to be in a way because I have ranch in my name, number one, and the decor which I was describing earlier, it's authentic from the ranch, and by no means do we have like license plates and sawdust on the floor or anything crazy like that. But it's casual. It's more casual atmosphere. We have ranch in our name, and to boot, we are in a touristy area.
Hmm.
So I almost need to be a little more reasonably priced, but I think people are starting to notice that and appreciate it more. And I think that I'm going to continue to do that
Hmm.
and hope to gain more locals than ever before because of that. So I look forward to doing that. And then there's some menu items that I'm working on right now that I'm excited about. And one of them is, like you mentioned, is beef. It's beef rossini or tornadoes rossini, which is filet mignon. Normally beef filet mignon on a crouton, and then a piece of foie gras on top of that, and then a Madeira sauce with truffles.
Hmm.
So I'm doing that, but I'm doing it with buffalo bison filet mignon. So it's going to be a grilled crouton, large crouton, the size of the fillet. It's going to sit right on it. The
Hmm.
grilled buffalo bison fillet will sit on it, and then the piece of foie gras, which is the same size as the buffalo. Buffalo's tall, of course, and then the sauce and some truffles on it. So it's taking me back to Bernard Tranche and Jean Claude and
Yeah.
Saint-Emilion. Did I mention that Saint-Emilion is still there today? They've been over
Ye-
for over 40 years,
Yes.
and
Yes.
it's still the best restaurant in Fort Worth.
Yes.
But so that is an item that I'm looking forward to. Um, and beef bourguignon. That's as French as you can get. And I spent some time in Dijon, working in Dijon, France, and where Burgundy. So beef bourguignon. I've had it at some of the best places you could imagine. Little country restaurants in Dijon and
Hmm.
around. And whereas that wasn't on the menu at Santa Emilion, it still takes me back to my roots. And
Hmm.
another something really important that I don't know if other chefs and restaurants are doing is the steakhouses are doing. The tenderloin is a commodity that is to be really, really taken serious because now, let's say 6 months ago, it was $16 a pound. It's now 21, $22 a pound. And there's only so much you can do with I don't knock that word scraps, the trimmings
It's
from the
right.
tenderloin. Yeah. Well, I've got it down to where every tenderloin, this part of the trimming goes here, this goes there, blah, blah. And so there's this piece of the tenderloin that is real super tender and has more marbling than the rest that's going into beef bourguignon that I'm excited about that as well. So a couple of French things are making an appearance on this next menu I'm excited about.
It sounds like a divine, exciting menu, French finesse and Texas grit.
Yeah.
Sounds very exciting.
Mhm.
If you could whisper something to your younger self opening Wyo Ranch, what would you tell them?
Mm, uh, let's see. Warm hospitality and integrity to quality. The ingredients of the quality are always going to be the most important thing. And just be yourself. Be yourself and don't be greedy and be humble. Um, um, I don't like to. I don't like. Um, I like to think of myself as like I mentioned earlier. I fly under the radar. People are really surprised by the fact that we actually won the best steakhouse in Dallas 5 years in a row by the Dallas Morning News. That our local newspaper, our only newspaper, and people are very surprised by that. I still get lots and lots of people say, "We've never even heard of you." I'm fine with that. I like flying wild. I like surprising people other than, and quite honestly, those rewards make me nervous, of having that title from that publication as the
Hmm.
best steakhouse. And I'm not saying that I am the best steakhouse in the world. I'm not really sure that I agree with it. I don't disagree with it, but it's uh, kind of nerve wracking having it, you know. Um, but I don't know. I would just say I would tell myself, just be true to yourself, and you know what you're doing. Go get it. I had good training.
So that's solid of advice to new chefs coming into this business.
I
Uh,
also think I would tell myself that things are never as good as they seem to be. But the good news is they're most of the time not nearly as bad as they seem to be. Just be humble, do it one day at a time.
well, it is being humble and doing it one day at a time.
Mhm.
Um, I've had some great takeaways from this conversation. Authenticity isn't decor, it's decisions. Service isn't a department, it's truly a philosophy. Um, and leadership, when humble, still wins loyalty every night. You've kept both fire and grace, and that's rare. And you do have an incredible story. So thank you for reminding us what real Texas hospitality looks like in this new era. It's been wonderful talking to you, and it's been exciting for me as a chef to hear your story.
Well, thank you. And as I mentioned, my brother Michael Street, he's a huge part of it, and he's the sales manager, and we have huge private
Hmm.
dining rooms, huge
Hmm.
private dining rooms that he's in charge of booking. And he's been general manager of many great restaurants in New York and all over the place. And hospitality. I mentioned earlier in the very beginning of this talk that some people just have guest services is in their blood, in their heart, and he's
Hmm.
the epitome of that. So we work well off of each other.
Yeah. It's nice to have that partnership.
Mhm.
It's nice to have someone you can collaborate with and bounce ideas off.
Mhm.
No, the numbers make you stronger.
Mhm. Some things that I left out that
Yeah,
we're not, we're still recording though, right?
we are.
That well, I'm not ashamed of this. In fact, I'm proud of it. Is that I've been in recovery for 27 years,
Good for
and
you.
yeah, and so the being in the restaurant business in the 80s at such a young age took its really
Yeah,
really took its toll.
yeah,
Um, I was especially when I lived in London and Acapulco
yeah,
and
yeah,
London,
yeah.
you know, it's the restaurant business is fun. It can be a lot of fun, and
Hmm.
it can be very tempting. You know what goes
Hmm.
on after when you get off work.
I know it well. It can absolutely consume you. And I know that's a lot to share. And thank you so much for sharing that.
Oh no,
Because it's
I'm actually proud of it.
yeah, yeah.
So that, but to be more specific, like when I was 12 and 13, they at night the kitchen would get pitchers of beer. And I would drink right there in front of the managers, and everybody would just sit there, watch me drinking it,
Hmm.
and just not think anything of it.
Hmm.
Just not think. I mean, today, I mean, they could literally. And then when I was 14, I noticed for a long time that people were kept going into the manager's office right around 5 o'clock,
Hmm.
before the shift or noon, like noon or 5 o'clock before the shifts. And I knew something was going on in that office, right?
Hmm.
And I remember the day that the manager on duty, I made the cut, and he said, "Come on back." And I'm sure you can figure out what was going on in the office before the
Hmm.
shift.
Hmm.
I, as part of my step work that over the years, we address resentments that we have, and it's like I've always think, what were these people thinking? You know, just not only were they turning the eye up seeing a kid snort drugs off of a desk, but they were supplying it and encouraging it and laughing at it. But you know what, though? I made it. I'm fine. I've been in recovery 27 years and have a great life. I'm very, very active in AA and NA. So help
That's
other people.
incredible. That's incredible. That is absolutely incredible. It is the dark side of the hospitality industry that people don't talk about, that
Yeah,
people hide.
yeah.
And it was still very prevalent till about, I would say, a decade ago, and then it started to kind of
You're right.
get
It's much
strict with
less now.
it's much less now, but even in my earlier career, like I've seen it, it was still very prevalent, I would say, till, even say, 2010, and then it started to kind of
Yeah.
dissipate. And, it's much different now with corporate and with everyone having HR.
Too many
Uh,
lawyers around. Too
too
much
many,
to worry about.
yeah. But before that, it didn't matter how old you were, where you were from. It
Yeah.
was encouraged. It was
Celebrated.
served. Yeah. So
Fridays and Saturday nights were always fun, that's for sure.
that is true. That is true. But also what brought chefs together, right? It's like after those hours and after, it's a very high stress job. And that's again, the dark side of that is like we were not training chefs to deal with that part of it, that stress. So
Mhm.
what did everyone do? They drank and they did drugs.
Yeah.
There was a coping mechanism, and nobody knew. Nobody
Mhm.
knew. It's so much talent. You're lucky you made it to the other side. Well, we're lucky we made it to the other side, but so many people got lost in it.
Yeah, and it is still common, not as common like you said, but it's still common.
Hmm.
And when I see people going off track, mostly servers,
Yeah.
I if I try to a lot of times it's gently bring it to their attention that they might be headed in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
And I'm open to everybody here knows my story.
Hmm.
I've never hid it from anybody.
Chef, thank you so much. This has been a pleasure.
Thank you. Same here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And
Have a good day.
you too. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.